there as like Twitter and Facebook. We won't want to forget about you folks as well. In this hour, we have a lot of picks coming. We got college football. Action is upon us here with 3 games scheduled. We'll have picks from all 3 of these games, as well as more football talk. And we're going to delve into the NBA. The NBA is not too far away. We've got some NBA draft props we'll share with you. But let's take a look here at our crew today and our show. We've got, in addition to my co-host Chris Ruffalo, we'll have Damian Sosh, bottom of the hour. Of course, I promise you, we will get to Rod Zawacki this week. I apologize to him. We got his pick, but we didn't get him on the show. All right, then, of course, we got Alan Ninos to join us here. Dabble into international soccer. Alex Smart has got some plays for us. We got Shane Mickle on the show as well, guys. So we got a good show planned for you. I'll go ahead and welcome my co-host for today, Chris Ruffalo. Chris, how are you doing today? And I'm going to get your opinion here on this Monday Night Football game that we saw. I was really disappointed here with this Patriots defense and how they allowed the Jets in the game. You got a statue there at quarterback. You couldn't put any pressure on him.
Well, to answer your first question, Tony, I'm doing a lot better than this morning. I appreciate some of the comments. People were noticing I wasn't doing too well, but no, it's amazing what an afternoon nap will do for you, which is what I almost had last night when I was watching parts of this game. And, the thing about New England is it wasn't just the defense for me that was disappointing. It's disappointing as it is when you allow Joe Flacco and his 2 freaking hay bales of eyebrows throw for 260 something yards and 3 touchdowns. But what was also disappointing for me was the play of the New England offense, and that's maybe being a bit vague. And I'll take Jacoby Myers out of that because he had a fantastic game on his birthday. But, Cam Newton, he did have an efficient game. He was like 18 of 19 at the first point that I really paid attention to his completion percentage. But the thing with Cam Newton, I was watching this, as the game was going on. It looked like, and we've talked about how Cam Newton's weakness is of everything, his ability to throw the football. And when I was watching some of his throws coming out last night, they were throws that just looked like he was putting 50 yards worth of effort into it, yet it was only going 15. He was looking like he was just putting a lot more behind the ball, and the ball wasn't going very far. And I don't know if that was his release or not, or I don't know what was going on. Maybe my mind was just playing tricks on me. But then he would air it out deep. But again, the Jets are going to be the Jets. They did what they always do. They find a way to lose a football game. Last night it was that they scored 27 points for the first time in over a month and a half, and they had a bit of a play call blunder near the end of that game. Why you don't run the ball at that point? Instead of throwing on third down to try to run some clock and give New England a little bit less time to work with. That's a discussion that maybe we can have, but again, it's just a sort of a microcosm of the Jets season up to this point.
All right, of course, that's Chris Ruffalo joining me here on the drive-through. Still a lot to cover here on the show, a lot of picks coming your way, and of course, Chris, just some thoughts here on some of the postponements. A lot of SEC games look to be postponed, including that LSU-Alabama. We've got some late news here with this Memphis Navy game, issues there with the Academy, even the Air Force Wyoming game postponed.
Yeah, it's, again, since the season started and these postponements started happening, it's kind of what we've been saying is that it's the world we're living in now, and, these postponements are going to have to be something that we're going to have to get used to. If you're a Wisconsin fan, I can't help but feel bad for you, as this team looked dominant after week 1 and looked like a team that could actually make a legitimate run at a playoff spot, even with an 8-game schedule. And now it looks like they're even going to have trouble having enough games to maybe even qualify for a bowl game, unless there's going to be extenuating circumstances extended by the NCAA. We've yet to hear anything. But again, like I said, it's the world we're living in right now. From a fan's perspective, it's a shame that, we're not going to have Alabama LSU this week. And, it's a shame that for AAC fans, you're not going to be able to see Memphis Navy. Or there was another game we mentioned, I think it was Tennessee, Texas A&M. These are games that, yes, we would have liked to see as fans, but at the end of the day, the health of these athletes is paramount. It's something that we have to do. All we can say is take better precaution going into this. But again, this can come up at any time. I mean, it's not like these guys are, going out and partying and, it's just because they carried that was the event that brought all this on. These guys can transmit it when they're playing, and we knew that was a possibility when we were coming into this season. So, I think we just got to try to take as much precaution as possible and hope that we have games from week to week.
That's right, absolutely. Okay, here on the drive-through, Christopher joined me here. A lot more picks coming up, guys. We're going to go ahead and get it started with our Pick Dogs crew. Let's welcome Alex Smart to the show. Alex, how you doing? Of course, I know you keep a close eye on this NFL. How did the NFL treat you this past weekend?
It was pretty good. It wasn't too bad. I sort of finished off on a bad note with my Monday night selection. I just was surprised at how many points the Jets were able to scrap up on the board. But anyway, that's it was a positive weekend for my football overall, and we're going to move forward from here in positive fashion.
What did you take from this Patriots performance? I know Chris had some issues there with Cam Newton. I was disappointed with the defense really not getting pressure on Joe Flacco. You know how to beat him. I mean, you just got to generate pressure. They couldn't get, he was in the pocket, had time to throw. I mean, I know Belichick's got to look at the film. I know they got the win. He wants to be positive around Cam Newton because he can get really down. He can get really down if you put too much, give him too much criticism. But if you're Bill Belichick looking at the film, you got to be really scratching your head, man. What's going on with his defense?
Well, I know he's missing Tom Brady right now, and maybe we've got to give the old senior citizen himself, Tom Brady, a lot of credit for how well New England has done over the years. And we were always saying, well, it's Belichick. I'm still not knocking Belichick, but at the same time, Brady gave an energy to this team that was, I don't think, exists in existence anywhere else in the NFL. And you can see what he's doing for Tampa Bay right now. So I don't know. Sometimes it's the energy of a room, it's the energy of a team, and I'll tell you, they don't have that positive energy flow right now, and New England doesn't look like the same team they used to look like, that's for sure.
They certainly don't. All right, Alex, you're going to come in with the college football pick here on the drive-thru. You're going to be looking at this FIU game with FAU favored on the road here by 9. We're seeing some 8.5s come up here. Total low at 42, 41.5 in some places, mainly because Willie Taggart turned this FAU team upside down from Lane Kiffin's high-flying team to a defensive team that's holding its opponents to low scores. And, of course, FIU, they're off to an 0-3 start and then coming off a loss to an FCS school. So how do you see this one?
Well, no matter what, I'm just absolutely hey, kudos to Florida Atlantic. It's amazing. The one game that stuck out to me was the one that they lost actually at Marshall. And Marshall's has a physical front offense. And I mean, I was shocked at, I'm acting shocked here, but I was really shocked at how physical Florida Atlantic was. And I mean, they were just pounding away on Marshall, and Marshall was lucky to get out of that game. I know it was 20-9. Marshall's a good football team this year. The program's looking great again, but I'm just shocked. And, I really can't see Florida International doing much against them. And that was the same situation when I had to tune in again to see parts of UTSA and the Western Kentucky tilt. And I was, these guys are a physical group, physical group. We got some NFLers there for sure. And Florida International really, I can see this game going down 21-3, 28-10. So you got to look at the under too.
Also looking at FAU laying the points here. You can find 8.5 in many places now because that was listed at 9. So FAU, the play here from Alex Smart here on the drive-thru. Chris, as we talked about yesterday, FAU definitely a different team under Willie Taggart.
Absolutely, and I'll say right off the bat, I'm with Alex on the FAU minus 8.5 or 9, wherever you can get it. I think my other play, and I'm with Alex on this one as well, is the under, just because I was just looking at the numbers. I didn't really get to delve too much into this game, but I saw FAU on the board, and I didn't care. I was going the other side, because you lose to an FCS program and you're sitting winless. You're an auto fade in my books until you really get your act together. But then you look at what FAU's done this season. Tony, like you said, it was an offensive team under Lane Kiffin, which has now turned to a defensive squad under Willie Taggart. And their last 3 games combined, 10-6 to Western Kentucky, 24-3 with UTSA, and that 20-9 loss to Marshall. Let me see here. 16, 37, plus 66 points in their last 3 games combined. And, and then you look at the totals that we're seeing in those games. It went from 50.5 against Marshall down to 46.5. And then we got 38 last week, and we still came under that number by more than half. So this just screams like another low-scoring game. You look at FIU's game against Jacksonville State, where they lost 19-10, another game that finished under 30 points. And FIU only had 156 yards of total offense in that game. You mean to tell me that you're going to try to get more yardage against an FAU team playing outstanding defense that's only allowing 11.6 points per game this season after you only put up 156 yards against Jacksonville State? No, I'm on FAU here. I'm on the under as well. My only concern with FAU is that they haven't been scoring a whole lot this season. But again, I think like Alex said, I think 21 points gets you a cover and then some. I think it could even get you, a 2-touchdown win for FAU here. So I'd lay the points and take the under as well.
Yeah, all in agreement here, taking FAU, laying the points here against FIU, a team that's off to a slow start, 0-3, losing to Jacksonville State last week with just 156. Butch Davis, 156 yards of offense. Man, what do you got to, what's that going on with that program?
Oh, God, who knows? Yeah.
I was going to say, you know what? It's not even like the talent's not there. I mean, it has been there, but the problem is you start to see what turnover for a program really does, and you start to see how much that program really relied on James Blackman and that offense before he left the program. Now it's just FIU has just gone down the tubes, and I don't even know if an experienced coach like Butch Davis can save this one.
Yeah, no doubt about that. All right, here on the drive-thru, we got a play here from Alex Smart with FAU laying the 9. Alex, as we reached the quarter past the hour, why don't you let everybody know what you have going on over at Pig Dogs Premium?
Well, we've got some MAC action tonight. We're going to have some MAC action again tomorrow night, college football action. And we're going to have plenty of NFL and college football action this weekend, and hopefully not too many more games get canceled.
I agree with you there. All right, guys, check out Alex Smart over at Pig Dogs Premium. Look at his numbers here year to date, over 700 units of profit. That's all documented at Pig Dogs Premium. Want to pick up a long-term pass from Alex Smart? Third day all sports pass gets every play from Alex Smart that he releases. NFL, college football. Now, college basketball is in play. We're just about 2 weeks and 1 day away from the start of college basketball. So more work for us to put in, but we're up to the challenge here as we're looking forward to college basketball in a couple of weeks. All right, Alex, as always, great having you on our show. Have yourself a great week, and we've got you in a couple of days.
Watch some teeth rattling action too. FAU. Watch these guys. They're going to knock these guys around. It's going to be vicious. Okay, guys. Take care.
All right, our buddy Alex Smart here. Of course, this game going on Friday, and he said watch this one. And I'll let you know you can watch it on CBS Sports Network. All right, Alex, have a good couple days. We'll talk to you soon. All right, continue on here on the drive-thru. I'm joined by Chris Ruffalo, and I promise that we will not forget Rod Zawacki. So let me go ahead and get him on. And if I ever make a mistake to any of you guys out there, text me, call me, whatever. We got to get these guys on if I happen to have a bonehead error once in a while. So let me go ahead and bring our buddy.
Tony's human. We allow him to make one mistake every once in a while.
Absolutely. All right, let's go ahead and bring him in.
I was gonna say you get your hair perfect every day. You're allowed to have one mix up with the show once in a while. As long as you get the hair every day, you're good.
Those of you guys that follow me on Facebook, you know how hard I have to work to look like this, man. It's not easy. All right, let's go ahead and bring him in, Rod Zawacki. You'll find him over on Pig Dogs. Rod, welcome to the show, my man. How you doing?
Doing good, Tony. Doing good.
All right, very good. Now, I got to let you talk about the Dolphins, right? 2-0. I mean, I can't believe how many people were making such a big deal out of that game against the Rams. You could tell there wasn't much of they were just easing them into the position, right? And then they let them go here in then game 2.
Yeah, game 2, they took the any leash they had on them off and let them fly. And wow, am I excited as a Dolphins fan to see how this goes.
Yeah, I'm sure you and
future
Mitch,
looks bright.
I know Mitch was a season ticket holder for the Dolphins, so he might be pretty happy too with the results here of 2-0 in Miami. All right, joined by Rod here. Rod, you're going to take a look at this Kent State Bowling Green game That's gonna kick off here at 7:30 Eastern time. Kent's gonna lay 20.5 on the road, total 55.5. Kent State is definitely a team people are keeping their eyes on with good quarterback play, but Bowling Green is a team that's just people. We always bash Akron, but man, Bowling Green isn't too far away from them, and they have that epic meeting in December. So we'll see.
Holy jeez!
I had to bring that one up.
Oh my God! You did it once already.
I know. Bowling Green is a team that averaged 13 points a game last year. They just put 3 up on Toledo. So which way are you going with this one?
For us in this gun, we're going to lead to the under in this one. If you look, Kent State, they're a team that likes to run the ball, and I think they're going to be able to run the ball with ease, which means they're going to burn up clock. As this Bowling Green defense gave up over 300 yards rushing last game. So this plays right into the Kent State offense, and they're going to run the ball. And even if Kent State scores 40 points, 45 points, it is Bowling Green's offense going to do. Kent State's defense is definitely no slouches, that's for sure. Their first game, they only allowed 61 yards rushing. So Bowling Green is definitely going to have a tough time running the ball. The only way the Bowling Green defense is going to move the ball is through there. And Kent State defense is prone to they gave up 241 yards passing through the air. So how many points are you going to expect from Bowling Green? I don't see a whole lot. And then if you look at the trends, the way this series has gone, the Flashes are 14-3 in the last 17 road games versus a team with a losing home record to the under. Even Bowling Green as an underdog is 11-4 to the under. Bowling Green 8-3 to the under. The under's gone 4-1 the last 5 meetings between these two. And the weather's not going to be great. The weather's going to be gusting anywhere from 15 to 20 miles an hour wind. Rain could roll in later in the game as well. Take the under 50.
All right, Rod Zawak says go ahead and take Kent State and Bowling Green and go under total of 55.5. Chris, how do you see this one? I think there's only one way to look at it. It's either at looking at Kent or the under. Which one would you be more comfortable with?
Well, I will first say there are 2 things you don't do in life. You don't eat yellow snow, and you don't mention Bowling Green and Akron 2 days in a row. So that's a warning to you. Anyways, no, you know what? I'm with Rod in the sense that, I do not expect Bowling Green to be able to contribute a whole lot to this total. I think on the morning show we had Bowling Green team total under 16.5, and I think that's sort of where my free play would lie in this one. I think my only concern with the under is that, you had a Bowling Green team that against FBS teams last year gave up almost 42 points a game and had an average scoring margin in terms of a margin of defeat of minus 28.5 points per game. So you got to worry that Kent State might get to that number on their own. But, again, I don't, with the weather playing a huge factor into this game, I could definitely make the case for the under in this spot. I think the other thing is that, it's hard it would be hard to say against trends against a team with a losing record in most cases, but Bowling Green's had a losing record as long as I can remember it, year after year. So the trends of 14-3 to the under hold a lot of weight in this one against a team like Bowling Green, who for whatever reason doesn't win football games on a perennial basis. So I definitely understand the case there, and I do think that Kent is a viable option as well. Even with the weather, I don't know how you don't look at those 2 options for this game.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right on the money there. Rod Zawacki, Kent State, Bowling Green, under total of 55.5. The weather could depress the scoring in this one. All right, Rod, as we're approaching the bottom of the hour, why don't you let everybody know what you have going on? Pick Dogs Premium. We got the MAC conference action, a lot of football this week.
Well, I've got MAC action, 3 available. You can pick it up over the website. We went 3-0 on last week's MAC action, so we're trying to stay perfect this week as well. love the 3 players that are there to definitely make us some profit. And we got more action tomorrow that I'm looking at as well. So if you want, grab something long term. Bigger savings to you rather than buying packages daily. Grab something long term. Bigger savings to your pocket.
Better savings there, guys. So check out Rod Zawacki over at Pig Dogs Premium. Want to pick up that 30-day all sports pass? Get all Rod's plays for 30 days. All the picks he posts up there. You'll get some of his NFL, college football, all of his college football, NFL, as well as college basketball, which starts in 2 weeks and 1 day away. So check him out over at Pig Dogs Premium. All right, Rod, we got you in. Have yourself a great night, and we'll talk with you tomorrow.
You guys have yourself a great night.
All right, everybody. Rod Zawacki.
And maybe be watching. You know, we always get that bonus.
That's right. That's right. Be sure to check the end of the show. We recap the plays at the end of the show. And, of course, when we close the show, we get all the cappers on screen, and we'll get a flash up. We'll get the birdcage pick there from Rod Zawacki. So keep an eye on that. All right, Rod, good night. We'll talk with you tomorrow.
Good night, everybody.
All right, continuing here on the drive-through, joined by Chris Ruffalo. And we're going to continue on and bring on our guy, El Ninos. El Ninos, you'll find him over at Pig Dogs Premium. Al, how you doing? And you're sporting some NBA Finals shirt. You didn't waste any time. This man didn't waste any time. You know, went in and got it. Let's get it. Let's get that full screen up there. Huh? Right there, you got the NBA champion, LA Lakers. Of course, your Lakers. There's the cap coming up. I don't want to hear any load management from you guys, though. I don't want to hear LeBron wanting to take days off and Anthony Davis switching days. You know, I want them all on the court ready to go.
Yeah, I know, and we were talking about how the leagues go and all that, load management real quick with the KBO playoff format. I mean, maybe, you know, if we eliminate back-to-back games, you'd get less load management too. I mean, they do get hurt on back-to-backs, and I can't really blame them for sitting those out. You know, they're very valuable players these days. They get paid way too much money to go out and get hurt. And pretty much meaningless season games. Some of them pretty much are meaningless. But yeah, anyways, so maybe take those back-to-backs away, give them more incentive to do well in the regular season, and I think we might get some more competitive games and less load management.
Yeah, less load management, no doubt about that. You know, Chris, with that 72-game schedule, they can do a lot with it, but they're going to finish in mid-July. So there is really time to really space out these games and hopefully not too many back-to-backs. Hopefully there won't be 3 games in 4 nights.
Yeah, I mean, we always say we hope, but then, you know, the higher-ups always find a way to sort of stick it to you in that regard. And you know, I think we're at a point now where, yes, we'd like to say we'd like to eliminate back-to-backs and maybe have, you know, instead of a back-to-back, have 1 day's worth of rest if you're playing within the same sort of city. Like if you have to play the Lakers and then you have to play the Clippers and you're staying in LA for both of those games, okay, give it a day in between instead of maybe playing a back-to-back. The problem is I think we're not going to make everybody happy no matter what we do. You're going to have people that are going to say, oh, well, I want basketball every day. And you have the people that are going to say, well, the sponsors want basketball every day, as much time to get their products on the air and get as much commercial time. And then you got the owners saying, well, we want, you know, games to be played so that we can make our money back, our revenue back from the season that we lost. Again, I don't think you're going to make everybody happy. I think we got to sort of be happy with what we have in that 72-game schedule. It's going to be as close to some sort of normalcy as we're going to have this season. And take it from a Toronto fan, we might not even have our team at home this year. So you know, I'll take what I can get in terms of the NBA. You know, if we get 72 games and the Raptors have to play in Kentucky or Buffalo or Nashville or wherever for a year, I'll take it. But again, you're never really going to make everybody happy. And I think that's the moral of the story at the end of the day.
That's right. It's going to be tough to those road trips into Buffalo. And I don't think the COVID is something to talk about here with the NBA and college basketball. That will have a greater impact in the NBA and college basketball. Right, Chris?
Well, I mean, and I kind of don't want to sound like a broken record, you know, but we've talked about it before. We've seen these bubble environments and how they work. They, like, you know, I can speak from, you know, and Rod can tell you this as well from our time watching hockey. 9 weeks, these guys stayed in a bubble. There was no real travel. Everything was around. Everything was where you needed it. And there were 0 cases in 9 weeks from everyone that was in that bubble. So the idea of it, as long as it's executed properly, it works. When you consistently travel and you leave yourself out in the open, that's when you leave yourself exposed and open to the potential that this could happen. But again, there's no real place that we can house a bubble for a 72 game schedule. You're not going to keep these guys away from their families for a 72 game schedule. It was hard enough for the guys that were there for the 3 months or however long they were there, 2 months or whatever. So I think it's always going to sort of be in the back of our minds, and we're kind of going to have to, take a look over our shoulders every couple days. But again, I'm kind of happy to just be where we are and know that the progress is being made.
All right, Christopher. All right, Al, you're going to be looking at international soccer games for tomorrow. A lot of international friendlies on the card. We got some Copa del Rey. We've got some FIFA qualifying in the AFC range. So there's a lot going on, but you're going to be looking at an international friendly in Europe.
Yeah, I'm going to take a look at this one. I think we got a little bit of value on this play, and it's a little play that's close to home for me, so why not take a look at it? Got a little extra friendly match, I would call this one, between Greece and Cyprus. Greece coming into this one, huge minus 263 favorites. But I think both these teams will be a lot more focused on their upcoming National League matches and their Euro qualifiers. Greece coming off a 0-0 draw against Kosovo. They had lost their last friendly game to Austria. They did beat Kosovo 2-1 before that, and had a draw against Slovenia. So, that's 3 disappointing results in their last 5. Cyprus has been in terrible form, but they did manage a draw in their last match. And I think they have a chance to keep this one close. As I said, it's an extra friendly match. These two teams speak the same language, same national anthem. I'm not too sure how they do that, if they play the same one twice or not. They don't play each other too often. They haven't played since 2017. Greece has won this matchup the last 5 times they played. Make that 4, sorry. And, they are the better team, but again, they're not really focused on this match, and I think that gives us a great chance. This plus 320 draw here, so that's what I'll be looking at. I don't think they'll be playing their best players much. They got, as I said, more important matches on the weekend, so yeah, I think we got a lot of value on this plus 320 draw here.
Al says take Greece and Cyprus to draw at plus 320 odds. Chris, international friendlies are always really tricky there. Sometimes they want to look at some of the younger players. They pull some teams off some of the juniors, or and they want to get a look at them. How do you see it?
Well, I mean, I'll kind of touch on it. I think the only beautiful thing about this game is going to be the setting of where the game is played, because these two teams, they, for being Greece and Cyprus, they don't really like each other. There's a rivalry here, and that's why I think that yes, international friendlies can be downplayed, like they're not going to play their best players. We're going to see just like teams that aren't focused. My father-in-law is from Cyprus, so we talked about this at length today, and I can't lie to you, I'm on Greece minus 1.5 in this game, only because I agree with Al. I think Greece is the better team, and they've also won 6 of the last 7. Each of those 6 wins came by at least 2 goals. But also remember that you can also make this case for Cyprus. I said it. This is a rivalry. So as much as it's an international friendly, these guys want to beat each other. So as much as you could say that they want to, they have their minds focused on the Nations League, on the qualifiers, whatever. I just think that they're going to want to go and actually go out and beat everybody else. You could play 9 other games; they don't give a crap about those 9 other games as long as they win this one. So that's where my head's at. I think Greece is the better team. I got burned by Cyprus in an international game a few weeks ago. That's still stuck in my craw. I'm still a little bit angry about that. So I'm a little bit bitter. I'm going to take Greece minus the 1.5 at plus 120.
All right, Al. Go ahead.
Yeah, real quick. I was also looking. I know the 320 is a very much of a long shot, obviously, but I was also looking at the over in this game too. Over 2.5 minus 114. I think you can get there. yeah, I don't think that's a bad play either. Yeah, you were saying, Tony?
Yeah, give us two other games you may be looking at for tomorrow.
Let me
have
see.
you
I
studied
haven't
enough
looked
of
at
the
these
card?
too much.
All right.
No,
Well, we won't.
I
I won't.
honestly have not
All
looked
right.
at
Well,
these too
if you
much.
haven't, that's fine. Let's go to Chris. Chris, did you look at any of the
I
other
did
games?
want to look at, sorry, real quick, Spain on the pick'em maybe, but as I said, yeah, I wouldn't try to go for too many favorites here. Most of these teams are not going to care too much about these games, so I'd go
All
for
right.
some value plays rather than go with the favorites.
All right, Chris, on your end, did you see a couple that you kind of had your eyes on?
I did, going back to Al's mentioning of that Spain game, Spain and Netherlands, I like that as a draw. I think those are just two of the best teams in the world. And, even if they rest players, their reserves are some of the best players in the world as well. They have some of the best young talent in the world. And the other one I was looking at, Poland and Ukraine to draw. These are two teams that also like to beat each other. And these are two teams that don't like each other much either. But I do think that there's enough. Ukraine does get up for this game, and Poland is just one of those teams. They got Robert Lewandowski. He's a game changer in itself. But again, I think that this could be a case where Poland maybe pulls him out after an hour. This could be a 1-1 game, and I think Poland would sort of settle for the draw, carry the momentum into the Nations League. While a draw would be big for Ukraine against one of the top teams in the world, so I think that could be a draw as well. Two value plays for me.
All right, that was Alaninos. It was with Chris Ruffalo here looking at the international soccer landscape here for tomorrow's action. All right, Al, as we reach past the bottom of the hour, why don't you let everybody know what you have going on over at Pig Dogs Premium?
Yeah, got got a couple plays on the two college football plays I like tonight. I had to pass on one of the games, but I also got my Thursday night football play out, and gonna be making some NFL plays. So check those out.
All right,
And as everybody else mentions, those long-term passes get you the plays right away. So definitely the best way to go, and usually the best deals too. So check those out.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. So check out Al Nino's over at Pig Dogs Premium. Take a look at his past 7 days plus 565 units of profit. That's all documented at the site at Pig Dogs Premium. Why not pick up one of the long-term packages there? You see a 7-day or a 30-day. Get all his plays that he releases there at Pig Dogs Premium. All right, Al, as always, great having you on the show. Have yourself there a great night, and we'll talk with you tomorrow.
Yep, we'll see you tomorrow, guys. All
right, there's Alaninos here on the drive-thru. All right, guys, we got this comment program working finally. So let's use it here. Let's take a look here. We've got I guess Jay Trey says Miami, Ohio, or Buffalo. That game will be coming up. We got Damien Sosh and a couple to go over that one, and of course we've got some people chiming in an opinion. We got Mark here thinking that he sees Miami with an outright win, and of course. Beezy Baby Sid, let's get his comment up there. He wants to know about the Contender Series. Well, we're going to get that covered, my man. We've got Shane Mickle here in a little bit. We'll cover the UFC Contender Series tonight, that one on ESPN+. All right, so actually he has an opinion on this one. Mark comes in with Souza in the Contender Series. So we'll keep tabs on that, see what Shane has to say about that. And we got more coming up. And let's just bring up Raphael McCoy here because this game is not on our. Of course, we didn't mention it because Chris doesn't want to talk about Akron and Bowling Green the same day. But Raphael McCoy likes the under. Matter of fact, that was Joe D'Amico's pick yesterday. He was on a teaser with the under and taking Ohio. So just on record, that's the play from this game from the show. Ohio and Akron take Ohio and play the under on a teaser. That was Joe D'Amico's play there for you. And we got another Raphael McCoy likes the under in Toledo versus Bowling Green, and that one we covered already. So we'll continue on here on the drive-thru. Any thoughts pop your head or from some of the chat people here?
No, these are some for our people that watch our chats. These are some of the the smartest fans in the world. I'm not just blowing smoke just because we want subscribers and likes, but these guys watch us, and we are a community, and everyone has their own opinion. And just because maybe they don't necessarily do this professionally, a lot of people know what they're talking about. So I definitely read all the comments, and it helps me as well. Kind of understand where people are coming from. It's nice to always get an extra perspective, but. Yeah, definitely. I can understand where a lot of these comments are coming from, and some of them I like as well.
All right, we'll continue here on the drive-thru, and Let's now it's time for Chris to continue with some of his picks here from the NBA draft. We touched on it yesterday, but I'm telling you, Chris got so consumed on it. He wants. We're going to come in and give you a second day of coverage as the NBA draft is approaching. So, Chris, take it away.
Yeah, I think one of the value plays that I was looking at was I like, there are certain places where you can find books to offer you. Like a prop, like who's going to go number 8 overall. And for me, that was what I found, and I like Obi Toppin to go number 8 overall, plus 2,500. It seems low considering a lot of people are like, oh, maybe Toppin could even go number 1 or number 2, and maybe go in the top 5. I see a couple of international prospects going in the top 5 or just outside of it, and other teams like your Golden States or your Chicago's or whatever, putting team needs and putting a couple of players before Toppin. But I think he falls to the Knicks at 8, and he immediately gives them another young star. They've already got R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle starting to find himself with the Knicks, and they'll need to bring in a point guard, whether it's a veteran or maybe someone else later on in the first round. But I'll tell you, he's athletic as hell. He runs the floor, plays both ends. He's a rim rocker. He gets above the rim in pick and roll, and he can also shoot. And I think that sort of led me to go with another value pick later on in the draft. Another draft prop I had was Nico Mannion from Arizona to go number 27 overall at plus 1,100. Like I said, the Knicks need another point guard, and can get a guy at Mannion if he's available at 27. He's got a high IQ from being coached by Sean Miller at Arizona. And you know what? He posted 14 points and 5.3 assists per game. He's a guy that can definitely score. He can put up his fair share of points, and he can get them help as well. And I think he gives them a little bit of help at point guard. Could compete for more and more minutes as the season goes on. I was also looking at certain props for either class or conference. So I'll just rattle off a couple here. I like over 4.5 freshmen taken in the top 10 at plus 200. I also like over 5.5 players from the SEC taken in the first round at minus 106. Over 5.5 players taken from the Pac-12 in the first round at minus 103. Over 1.5 players taken from Arizona in the first round at minus 125. And over 1.5 players taken from Washington in the first round at minus 105.
All right, Chris Ruffalo here on the draft pops here from the NBA. What's your thoughts entering the season here? Any teams that you've taken a look at that you may be on your radar for ATS?
Oh man, I have to kind of look at it a little bit. I know Oklahoma City was definitely a team that was on my radar as a road, a team that dominated the trend on the road last year. I'm just trying to pull them up right now. Excuse me. Your best cover team last year actually was Oklahoma City overall. 48-31. That was including their playoff games and their bubble games. Even with the first overall pick, I think I'm still trying to avoid the Minnesota Timberwolves. This was just a team that was brutal against the spread last year. They only covered in 37% of their games. And I still think that we're going to have that danger zone with the Los Angeles Lakers and their covers. Somewhere in the area of 10 to 13 points. I found that we got just burned left, right, and center with taking the Lakers last year, as they either pushed themselves out of the cover late, which happened more often than not, or they would just someone would foul them, and you needed them to lose by 12 and plus 12.5, and the Lakers won by 13. So it was never really a good feeling you could get in that range, and I think those are the teams I'm maybe looking to avoid. But again, there's teams like Miami that I think we're going to get great value with. And I think maybe the New York Knicks as well, depending on what they do in the draft and free agency. This is always a team that has high hopes. And then, about a couple weeks into the season, those high hopes are gone. And then all of a sudden we're going to start getting, better lines. Again, we're going to get a ton of points. And I think the Phoenix Suns as well. I think there was something to that 8-0 run in the bubble. I think this is going to definitely be a team to watch as well this season.
All right, Chris's look to teams here. Of course, we're getting into the free agency frenzy as the teams have agreed, the players and the league has agreed to a season start here. So we'll keep an eye on the NBA. All right, Chris, as you're approaching the top of the hour, why don't you let everybody know what you have going on over at Pig Dogs Premium?
Well, for Tuesday.
Let's see. Let's get it right here, guys. Let's get Chris up there and the ad. All right, here we go. Sorry.
I was going to say I transformed all of a sudden. I got more handsome. It's Tuesday. Usually I try to do 2 for Tuesday, but unfortunately, 3 mac games didn't allow me to do that. But I do have my loaded mac and cheese 5-pack up there. I got 2 things I love in life. I said it this morning: mac football and mac and cheese, and I tried to combine them both in this package. I love those games tonight. These are some of my favorite plays. Rough NFL weekend, I won't lie to you guys, but you know what? We rocked the MAC last week. We did well on college football on the weekend. Another solid college football week starts here. Get this package tonight, and let's build some money going into the rest of the week.
That's right. Build some money with Chris Ruffalo over at Pig Dogs Premium. Why not pick up one of those long-term packages, 7-day or 30-day all sports pass. Get all of Chris's plays for 30 days. He covers NFL, college football, throw some international soccer, some MMA, of course, college basketball, just 2 weeks and 1 day away. All right, so check him out there at Pig Dogs Premium. All right, Chris, I'd like to ask you a question. We did get a comment here from one of our viewers, asked about the Trailblazers. What's your thoughts of Portland moving in the new season?
Well, you kind of saw, that Damian Lillard is legitimate, that he wants to win with this franchise. And we saw how scary a healthy Portland team can be when you get guys like Nurkic back, when you're going to get Zach Collins back eventually. We saw Lillard, McCollum, and just that group of role players that just works so well in the Western Conference. And, they gave LA all they could handle in game 1 before eventually, bowing out the rest of that series. But no, I definitely think that Portland can be a team to watch. Portland, I think, is going to, if they can maintain that sort of pace through through the entire regular season, are going to be a team like a Utah or a Denver that we see in the Western Conference. They're not going to be your prototypical, your LA Lakers or Clippers and finishing the 1 or 2 seed. But this is like a 3, 4, or even a 5 seed that can make some noise in the postseason. And I think that, we're going to get a lot of value, and I think we're going to be able to cash a lot of tickets with Portland this year.
Yeah, Portland is definitely a team that looks like you can cash on it. So as the Nurkic they stay healthy on the court together. Collins, Nurkic, these are players that have been injured over the years. And, of course, can they get some depth? Really, that's one thing. Can they help out their guards there? Because sometimes they play a little too many minutes when they get caught up in these long stretches of games. Sometimes when you play those 5 games in 9 days, they start to really get weak. You see that especially on those East Coast road trips. They start to really wear out because they log in too many minutes. All right, continue here on the drive-through. Let's go ahead. Let's bring in our man Shane Mickley. You'll find him over at Pig Dogs Premium. Shane, how are things going? And how are things going for you in UFC world?
Good. We had another winner last Saturday. With all transparency, I went 1-2 last Saturday, but the one underdog was close around plus 230 with Thiago Santos. So still winning day there, and I'm looking for any weekend this weekend.
All right, definitely looking for some winners here from Shane Mickley. You'll find him over at Pig Dogs Premium. Doing very good work up there. Okay, we're going to talk again the Dana White Contender Series. For those that missed it last week, why don't you kind of give an overview about this series from the UFC that airs on ESPN+.
Yeah, so usually it's 5 fights. It'll be 5 fights tonight. Up-and-comers looking for a UFC contract. To be even considered for a contract, you have to win your fight, and then Dana White decides at the end of the night who he's going to pick, who he's going to bring, who's he going to give a contract to. Last week was a little interesting. It had 4 favorites win, and all 4 favorites who won got a contract. So probably won't be seeing that tonight. But yeah.
All right, Shane Mickle here joining us. You're going to be looking at a fight here, one of the 5 fights involving Shaheen Santana and Nathan Levy for the show. How you looking? Which side are you looking at?
Yeah, one thing I really key in on when researching these fights, there's not as much tape on these fighters, obviously coming from lower regulations, but it's if they finish fights or not. Nathan Levy wins 2 fights by finish, submission, both of them. But his last 3 wins have been by decision. On the other hand, Santana has, I think, two of his last 3 fights have been by submission. Nate Leave is actually coming in on short notice. He is a replacement fighter. And when I wrote an article yesterday for Sports Chat Place, there was a pick 'em, and now there's been tons of money that came in on Levy. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to take Santana, take a shot here at the underdog.
All right.
Right now I'm seeing it around anywhere plus 120 to plus 130.
All right, Shane's on Shaheen Santana now. That number's moving up here. You get better value on Shaheen Santana, plus 110 against Nate Levy. All right, Chris, did you have him take a look at this contender series for tonight?
I was able to take a little bit of a glance at it, and Tony, unfortunately, my analysis is going to be short and sweet because Shane made a lot of the same points that I was going to. I like Santana as well at the plus money, just because he's the fighter that finishes more opponents. I think the longer that you go in this one, it could maybe swing to Levy's favor because he's more proficient in winning fights by decision. So I think maybe I don't want to say that's his MO, but maybe that's how he sort of is planning a strategy to win this fight. He knows that Santana's a finisher, so just sort of weather the storm and then try to get your points in as much as possible. But I do think Santana finishes this fight. I could easily see Santana being the one that walks out with the contract at the end of the night, and I think this is another fight that Santana finishes. So I'm definitely on a plus 110 or plus 120 or 130 or wherever you're finding it.
All right, 2 votes on Shaheen Santana plus the odds here in this one. All right, Shane, there's 5 fights. There's 4 other fights on this card. Any of them really stand out to you?
Yeah, the other fight I really like is the Mario Souza versus, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that guy's name. But if you can, I haven't found it yet, but if you can find it to finish in the first round, it's 2 heavy hitters. I think that one finishes in the first round. If you want to lay it to not go the distance, you can, but you're laying some heavy juice there. So that's really the only other fight I really even considered on the card. Otherwise, there just seems to be too many unknowns and too many big favorites.
All right, that's Shane Mickle here giving us a lowdown here on the Contender Series UFC action for Tuesday night. Of course, you can watch this action over on ESPN+. All right, Shane, as we approach the top of the hour, why don't you let everybody know what you have going on at Pig Dogs Premium?
I've got a 3-pack tonight for college football, and I'm also running 2 specials. I've got my UFC card, 365 days, for $129.99. And then I discounted my rest of the year college football pack to $99.99. Currently the second on leaderboards in college football and one of the top UFC. So longer packages are the way to go. So hopefully you'll hop on one of those.
Yeah, get on board with Shane Mickle over at Pig Dogs Premium. You see the numbers, number 2 in college football. Over 300 units of profit past 7 days. Good time to pick up one of his long-term passes. We got a 7-day, a 30-day all sports pass. You'll get all of Shane's plays for those periods of time. He covers NFL, college football, into the UFC, and of course, when college basketball begins in 2 weeks and 1 day, you'll get on board with his college basketball as well. All right, Shane, as always, great having you on our show today. Have yourself a great night, and we'll talk to you in a couple days.
Sounds good. Be back Thursday with another UFC winner. All
right, Shane Mickle here joined us on the drive-thru. It's always great to have a lot of different opinions from guys, but when they get into these other sports, like of course Jeff Peter with the NASCAR, Shane Mickle UFC, you and Al cover the international soccer. It does give bettors out there a little bit more opportunities and some sports to look at.
Oh, absolutely. You never want to go into anything blind, and at least having some sort of insight definitely helps, especially when it's something maybe you kind of wanted to dip your toes in the UFC or something, and just see if maybe there's money making opportunities wherever. Usually there is, and like I said, if you can find someone that can give you some sort of insight, the way that Shane or Al or myself give you about other sports, by all means, man. Jeff Jeter as well. It's making money is always great, and any way you can go about doing it, by all means.
Absolutely, by all means, guys. Any way you can do it, get that action there. All right, continuing on the drive-thru. You guys asked for that Miami O and Buffalo pick, and we got the guy here who will deliver the winner. Let's bring him in, Damon Sasha. Find him over at Pig Dogs Premium. Damon, how you doing? I know you're a big Fighting Irish fan. What was your take on their performance against Clemson?
Yeah, that was definitely. I was definitely happy after that game. I give Clemson credit. They come in without Trevor Lawrence, obviously. The kid they have backing him up, my God, he has a cannon for an arm too. So once Lawrence decides to move on, I don't think they're going to be hurting for a QB. But Notre Dame, they came to play. They approached this game, I think, differently than they have in the past when big games and Brian Kelly. He was talking about this game. He was preparing his team. Normally, when they get a big game like this, they kind of downplayed. It's just another game. They didn't do that this time, and they came to play, and it showed. They defensively, the way they shut down Etienne was phenomenal. I really, I knew they were good defensively, but I mean, they put the clamps on him. Ian Book making some big plays there down the stretch. I was really happy. It was kind of finally a signature win for Brian Kelly, but they can't sleep on it. Boston College. I remember well what happened back in 1993. I'm sure it'd be ingrained into the troops, even though probably don't even know what happened in 1993. A lot of these players back then that are on the team now, but I think they're going to be ready for this week. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season with them.
I know, Chris. Of course, this is a game that was circled, and you always have to worry about that letdown. I think at last check, it was Notre Dame a 2-touchdown favorite against BC, and of course, you know who's quarterbacking for BC is a Notre Dame transfer to add more to that storyline, Chris. And of course, your take from that Notre Dame. I was just impressed with how they were able to match, the speed. You always worry about Notre Dame's speed, but when you saw some of the backs out there, they can really run.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? I think the thing for me was that, and I said this, when we were recapping the games over the weekend and yesterday, the referees are sort of taking center stage in these games. And, there were certain calls that went both ways that kind of left you scratching your head. Like, really? Like, how do you, like, we say, the analysts are even in the booth and they bring in the rules analysts like your Gene Sterators of the world and stuff like that. And they're like, yeah, I don't know how that's not a catch. Or I don't know how that is a catch. And you know what? It took away from the game a little bit, but at the end of the day, this was still a fantastic game. I won't lie to you. I was on Clemson just because I thought, you know what? You don't become the number 2 quarterback on the best team in the nation by accident. You can kind of plug and play. And don't get me wrong, Uiagalelei definitely showed that he's got a bright future ahead of him when Trevor Lawrence steps aside. But I'm waiting for sort of I hope potentially a rematch in the playoffs because that was a massive win for Notre Dame. And I think that they booked at least one of the spots in the ACC title game, and good on them. I mean, the defense was a concern, but you know what? That defense was a concern for Clemson, giving up 47 points even in overtime. But we saw how good Notre Dame can play when they really have to step up, and they really did in that game.
Yeah, really big a step up. All right, Damon, now time for you to come in with your play for the show. Miami, Ohio, Buffalo, 8 p.m. Eastern time. This one's going to be featured on ESPN. We're seeing Buffalo favored 7.5. We're seeing some 8 start to pop up, total 56. Miami, an underdog, but one of the more experienced teams from the MAC.
Yeah, these two teams are probably the cream of the crop when you look at the MAC East. Miami, they had that dramatic win last week, coming from behind and then scoring a touchdown with 10 seconds left against Ball State for the win. Miami starting quarterback, though, Brett Gabbert, he did leave that game early with a head injury, but his backup, A.J. Merritt, filled in nicely. He went 16 for 24, 212 yards. He led Miami of Ohio on 5 scoring drives of 50-plus yards, so he's definitely more than capable of controlling this Miami of Ohio offense. Buffalo, meanwhile, they beat up on Northern Illinois. We kind of saw that one coming, 49-30. The Buffalo defense they forced 5 turnovers and scored 3 times themselves that game. Very impressive. Jarrett Patterson, obviously the main man on this Buffalo offense, ran for 137 yards, 2 touchdowns on just 20 carries. Now we know the Buffalo run game, that's their strength. But this Miami team, they returned 6 starters defensively. I think that's a much improved unit. And last season, keep in mind, Miami won this game 34-20, in spite of the fact Buffalo ran for 309 yards against them. Now Miami did hold them to just 89 yards passing, but turnovers and big defensive stops by that Miami defense down the stretch on 4th down is what preserved them the win. I think I see Miami getting some more big stops on defense. I like them getting the points in this game, and I think they keep it close and cover. Keep in mind, this Buffalo team, for as well as they played last week, they still gave up 30 points to Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois, they're young, they're inexperienced. I think Miami's they're going to be able to move that ball. They're going to be able to score and keep pace with them. I like them getting the points in this game.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Okay, Damon Sosh taking the points here with Miami. Chris, what say you on this one, Miami and Buffalo?
I can't argue that because you know what the thing with Miami Ohio that scares me a little bit is you don't know who's starting between Gabbard and Meyer, and that their two starting running backs are still out. But again, you don't score 38 points even against a team like Ball State if you don't have something going within that team. You still have to have the guys out on the field to score 38 points. Now, as far as Buffalo goes, like Damian said, no Northern Illinois scored 30 points in that game. Granted, a couple of them were late touchdowns, a bit of window dressing, but they still count all the same towards the final score and towards the total and the spread. So, and they almost had a chance to slide in the back door and cover when Buffalo put the ball on the turf with on their own 20 with less than a minute to go. But that's besides the point. I think that it also. Sorry for another point. 3 of those touchdowns for Buffalo were defensive. So this offense really only put up 28 points as well. And I definitely think that, if Miami can hold their own and not turn the ball over, this is a thick line for the two teams that finished at the top of the MAC East last year. Like Damien mentioned, these are the 2 best teams in that part of the conference. So I'm on the Red Hawks with the points as well.
All right, all in agreement here. Miami, Ohio, plus the 7.5 against Buffalo. All right, Damien, as we hit the top of the hour, why don't you let everybody know what you have going on over at Pig Dogs Premium?
Right now, I still have my 3-pack available. I have play on either the size or totals and all of tonight's games. You can get all that 3-pack for one low price. And obviously, my 3-day package, 7-day, 30-day plan. Lots of football, starting tonight. So definitely do yourself a favor, grab one of those plans and save yourself some money in the long run.
That's right. You can see Damien on the right side here this season. Why don't you pick up one of those all sports passes right now available, 7-day and 30-day. Get all of Damien's plays. That would be NFL, college football, and college basketball is going to start in a week and 2 weeks and 1 day. So pick it up right now over at Pig Dogs Premium. All right, Damien, as always, great having you on the show. Ever so great night. You're back in a couple days.
Yep. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, everybody. Damien Sauce here. He gets sporting that smile. I knew when I mentioned Notre Dame, we get that big smile from Damien here. All right, continue here on the drive-through. Boy, this guy Raphael McCoy says he might be crazy. I'm going to ask Chris to see if he is crazy. He's thinking of taking the points with East Carolina Friday night against Cincy.
Oh man, I don't like saying anybody's crazy because he makes a point. I think after that he said that Friday night games are always weird, and they are. But man, we just the only reason I say this is because Cincinnati just took it to 3 offensive. I don't want to say juggernauts, but these are 3 really good offensive teams. And SMU, Houston, and Memphis held them all to 13 points or less, I believe, and won each game by at least 28 points. So this Cincinnati team is legit with that defense. Now, is this a potential look-ahead spot? Is this a game that Cincinnati might not take as seriously? Potentially, because it's still East Carolina and they're still, a steaming pile of garbage. But, this is still a game that Cincinnati can ill afford to slip up in. And I think Luke Fickell's going to coach him up. I think he's going to just treat it as any other game. This is still a conference game against a conference opponent. I think I would still lay the points with Cincinnati here because we've seen that East Carolina is capable of putting points on the board. They did against UCF, and that cost us a cover in that game. But they also gave up 51 points in that game. They gave up 49 to Georgia State. The defense is the problem for this team, and I think that when you still have a team like Cincinnati whose calling card is their defense, but can still put up 40 points, 38 points, 50-something points, it's a dangerous mix, and I think that Cincinnati is a dangerous team, and I wouldn't want to be in East Carolina's shoes going into that game.
Yeah, but they're more than capable of making the playoffs. All right, I think we had Rod Zawacki in with the Contender Series play there. Susan Moneyline, Nate Levy Moneyline Parlay. There were his bets, so that's our man Rod Zawacki chime in on the Contender Series that'll air tonight, and we'll go ahead and bring in Big Dog here. He's got an opinion here. He wants to ask you, Chris, if you think Cincinnati can make the playoffs this year.
I definitely think they can. Cincinnati. If you kind of look at what they've had on their schedule so far, I think the only game that you can really sort of pick apart was that game against Navy where they only won 24-10. But that was a game that they basically shut down the run and really just had nothing really that you could say about that. Now, they have that 28-7 game against USF as well that they didn't cover in, but again, it's still a 3-touchdown win. I think my only worry now, and now that I'm looking at it again for this East Carolina game, and maybe the points aren't a terrible idea. I'm not confirming that, but I'm just saying that this is the case you could make. They have UCF on deck, so I think that's going to be the game that if they get past UCF, that Cincinnati's going to run the table and they can make a playoff spot, because 10-0 is still 10-0 in a shortened season. And when you're talking about that they went through their conference, with an undefeated record in a 10-game schedule, I think that's playoff worthy as long as they win the conference championship game. I think that's going to be the final hurdle. I don't know who's second in the AAC right now. I'm gonna try to see if I can get it up quickly. That's what she said. Tulsa or SMU looks like the two teams that are sort of in the running right now. You got Tulsa at 3-0 in the conference, and SMU at 7-1, 4-1 in conference. So I think those are going to be the two maybe possible threats. I mean, we still have 4 games to go in the conference, but I think to make a long story short, I think that Cincinnati has a very good chance of making the playoff.
I'm with you there, because that AAC conference is very competitive. All right, continue here on the drive-thru. Now it's for my free pick for today, and we're going to go ahead and look at some action here for tomorrow. Let's go back here. We got to get this. We got to get this right here. Let me go back to my screen. We're going to give you some MAC action between the game between Eastern Michigan and Ball State. And let me get it right up here for you. All right, we're going to go ahead and take Eastern Michigan plus the 9. I'm never comfortable giving over 3 points to this Eastern Michigan team. Mitch and I did the podcast over 4 years ago when Eastern Michigan was a bowl team, and we noticed that you give them a little bit more than 3 and they cover. And they were able to get under the number and cover in that 4-point loss to a good Kent State team in that opener. Eagles defense was good in the red zone and on third down against the Golden Flashes. Junior quarterback Preston Hutchison, 241 yards passing, and the team can run the football as well. He did see action last year, threw for 350 yards against Western Michigan. Ball State, in their opener, they did fall to Ohio 38-31. Remember, this is a 5-7 team a year ago that really struggled defensively, giving up 31 points and 425 yards a game. Last week, the Cardinals allowed 28 second-half points in that loss to Ohio, surrendering 309 yards passing, nearly 10 yards per pass attempt. I don't think Eastern Michigan is 9 points worse here. I'm going to take the points here. What say you, Chris, in this one?
Oh man, it's nice to actually be back on the same side as you. I gotta say, I agree with Eastern Michigan getting the points. I mean, you can make the case for Ball State that they can score points in bunches, but they can also give up points in bunches as well. And you look at what Eastern Michigan said, they've covered 4 of their last 5. Ball State, they shouldn't be favored by this many, if favored at all. I mean, you got the Cardinals only covering 2 of their last 6 games, 1-5 straight up in their last 6. So that tells me that they were getting points in some of those games, obviously, and that they weren't covering even when they were getting the points. So I think that Eastern Michigan, as long as Hutchison shows up again, I think Eastern Michigan's a viable play, and they could keep this one within a touchdown, if not potentially win it outright.
All right, all agreement here on Eastern Michigan, plus the points, plus the 9 against Ball State. All right, guys, this is the drive-thru. Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Be sure to tune in. By the way, we get it all start in the morning, 10 a.m. Eastern time with Mitch in the morning show. Chris Ruffalo, Ron Zawacki, Brian Bittler, and Shore are on that show. A lot to cover there in the morning, so check them out at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And now it's time to take a look at the picks from today. All right, El Ninos is in this segment with us. It all started with Alex Smart. He was with Florida Atlantic is -9 against FIU. Florida Atlantic -9. That game is on Friday. And Rod Zawacki, we did get him on the show today. Kent State Bowling Green to go under 55.5. Al Ninos going international soccer, Greece, Cyprus to draw at +320. Shane, we're looking at the contender series here. Shaheen Santana tonight +110 against Nathan Levy, and that number is actually trickling up, so you get better odds with Shaheen Santana right now. Damien, Miami plus the 7 and a hook against Buffalo. And yours truly was on Eastern Michigan plus 9 against Ball State from Action. I'll go to Chris. Other than your pick, which one do you like the best?
Tony, we got to start putting you first because then we always forget to get yours at the end of this. And by the way, touchdown Ohio. That was quick.
Yes.
I like Eastern Michigan. I'm with you, Eastern Michigan plus 9.
All right, now, Ninos, other than your pick, which one do you like the best?
Yeah, I think it's your opinion that's going to matter most here because I have to agree with Chris. I like Eastern Michigan plus 9. I even took them plus 8 at a little plus money. I think, it's a one-possession game. And as Chris said, I was going to say, dare I say either way, but yeah, I'll take anything over a touchdown here is great.
All right, and I like Rod Zawaki's play. Kent State Bowling Green under 55.5 was the play I like the best other than mine.
Real quick, if you find a bookie that gives you Florida Atlantic plus 9 anywhere near minus 110, go ahead and grab that.
We know it's minus 9. We know that was an input error at minus 9. So, yeah, he was on FAU is minus the 9. That was an input error there. All right, guys, here on the Drive Thru. Remember, tune in tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We do this all over again. We got a lot of action going on as well, and we'll cover the sports for you. All right, guys, let's go ahead and bring in the Pick Dog crew from today's show. And, of course, Rod Zawacki has got action here with the Flashes team total over 38.5 for today's action. That's his play on the Birdcage. We'll give everyone a wave goodbye and have a good night, and we'll talk with you again.